Hello, Music Multiverse listeners, and welcome to Panelists' favorite show. And this is going to be a three-part series. But before I get into what the Panelists' favorite show is, we're live from Hilo, Hawaii, at the Grateful Dude's house. We're in the backyard. The ocean's behind us. The ocean's behind Jeff Crichton. Deb couldn't find her ocean. She'll find Jeff. He's near the ocean, but it was facing the wrong way, and he looked better from that angle. So this is a three-part series. This is part one. This will be Panelists' favorites, debut albums from bands. And then in 2 weeks, we'll do female solo debuts. And then 2 weeks from then, we'll do male solo album debuts. And then we'll wrap it up on our show Of Sound Minds with the most important debut albums of all time. And then, of course, we'll argue about that, which is great because that's what we need to be doing anyway. So, these are our favorites. So don't be upset if your favorites are not on there. If your favorite is not on there, by God, like, comment, subscribe, but send the comments, put your list together. We'd love to see them. Obviously, there are a plethora. There is actually a site that did 893 of these debut albums and put them in order.
Wow.
Did I?
It's called Beyond Your Radio 2.
No, I did not. What is it?
It's called Beyond Your Radio number 2.
All right, so we kind of have to set rules here for engagement. So the rules were this: it has to be the debut album, not an EP, or an album that was released showing the older stuff after they technically released the debut album, because that's not a debut. That's, like, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Crichton, but I believe Genesis to Revelation was not actually released until after, right?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So those are that's an example I gave, but I'm not a record connoisseur of your nature. So.
We're allowed to cheat.
Okay, because it's his. By the way, it's like the host of the Olympics. Whatever he says goes. He gets in on a technicality.
We're allowed to cheat.
So, and the other one we're going to give a little leeway here. It's kind of weird. These solo people who have band names, like Stevie Ray Vaughan and Double Trouble. Okay, maybe. I mean, I love Double Trouble by themselves, although that didn't last very long. But
That's a band.
Santana, is that a band or is it
Yes.
him?
That was a band.
That's a band.
What about the Electric Mayhem? Does that count?
No.
You kidding?
So anyway, just to give you a little, I'm sure we're gonna have that maybe happen. So the debut, it's critical to the band. It's their pride and joy. No Stevie Ray Vaughan pun intended. But then again, it can go right, and then again, it can go oh so wrong. Just come out at the wrong time. Try to put on an album when Nirvana's album came out and your debut. Probably not going to do very well or get missed. But I think there's so much out there, and I thought this would be a great exercise. And we've got all different genres and loves of music. So I think nowadays you're going to get heard. Back in the day, I don't think you were going to get heard because it had to hit radio, or you didn't get heard as well. So this is our era is a little bit different now. But anyway, but before we get into the depths of our panelists' debut albums for bands, let us remember our debut of over 395 videos ago. What? 395 videos, 125 subscribers. You do the math. By the year 2027, we'll have enough that I can get $5 out of the show.
Wow.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, I know. So if you're thinking of joining us, you can subscribe. It's been hot lately. We're up 5 subscribers from the other day, so we're doing well. So anyway, it's that easy. Just like, subscribe, give us your comments. If you're thinking of joining the panel, send cash, lots of it, because we're getting full up. So the discussion and some fun banter, anecdotes, all this stuff. Let's meet the panel, because this is funny. All right. We've got Chef Jeff, the Grateful Dude, the host with the most here. Then we got the second Jeff Young. Then we got the third Jeff Crichton. And then the woman with the best acronym, DAMN, is on the program, Deb Armitage Hicks Maloney. And the woman hanging loose in Hilo, Susie Q.
Did I do it right?
Yeah, you did it right.
Okay.
All right, so let's everyone's all right. We're at daytime, you're at nighttime. You want this to go moving quickly. So let's start with Deb. Give us your number 5.
My number 5 is the first time I heard this album
I was in a 73 Charger, which when I heard this, the 73 Charger wasn't that old, just so you know. So it was kind of fun. I heard this album on an 8-track. I don't remember which song was, the in the middle of the click that gets kind of chopped in half, but it's the Ramones. And it was something totally new to me. It wasn't music that I listened to. I was not a punk rock person. I kind of thought about punk rock as just a lot of anti-establishment people spitting on cars and having a lot of anger issues. But this was fun. I mean, these songs, there's only like 9 songs on this album. I remember how many, but they're only from like a minute 30 seconds to, I think the longest one is 2 minutes and 38 seconds.
Yeah, that's epic.
If you have a short attention span, this album is for you, everybody out there. Now I want to sniff some glue. That is a song title. That is
Yes.
pure honesty.
What, is there something wrong with that? What are you trying to say?
And then Blitzkrieg Bop. So it's just a fun album. It never gets old for me. Any song, and the Ramones as a whole, any song that comes on, that you just bop along like the Blitzkrieg. So that's my number 5.
Nice pick. Nice pick. Susie Q to my, well, it's at my right, my left. I don't know. First.
Okay.
My left.
My left foot.
Yeah.
That's a
alright,
different show.
Okay, so I went with Counting Crows for number 5, August and Everything After, 1993. So I would have been on the cusp of college, maybe. Mr. Jones, Round Here, Rain King. It was for me just a nice sound. And I want to preface this, I guess, again, because these are so hard to do. There were so many legendary bands that would have been, I could have been done in 5 seconds. Boop, 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 best debut albums ever. But I tried to think of bands that like, would I turn them on right now this minute and listen, and this would be one of them. So that's why I went with them. It was just it was another different type of sound, and I always appreciate that. And they came along in a good time where grunge and everything was going on, and they had this kind of softer vibe. That just kind of let you relax into the music a little bit. So
Nice.
August and Everything
After. Yes, and they did I did find out they were number 4 on the Billboard 200 charts. They sold over 7 million copies. They won a couple Grammys, and the album track August and Everything After was never officially released on the album, which is kind of interesting, but talented little band. So
Yeah.
That's it.
Now,
Good choice.
we went to see them, but they didn't make the show, or we saw them and Wallflowers didn't make. Who didn't make it?
Ooh.
I don't know. One of them couldn't show, and the band played their whole.
I believe it was Counting Crows.
I think
that
Counting
didn't make
Crows. wound up
Where
playing.
where
Yeah.
did you go see that?
That
Where was it?
Darien
Yeah, I remember that concert being, that one of the bands didn't play,
That's
but I
happened
don't
to me
remember which.
twice over time. But anyway,
Yeah.
all right, we'll go to Jeff Young. Go ahead.
I picked an album from '93, Undertow from Tool,
Oh,
and it was refreshing because at the time I just felt like for me, maybe it was just the age, but I mean, I was still in college, but it's like I felt like I'm like, where's the new fresh bands? Like metal's starting to sound the same. Then these guys came out and sounded different, and just were just phenomenal. And it's not even probably their best album, but it's one of my favorites, and I still obviously listen to it to this day. It's just it's very creative music videos too. I know that they said on one of the liner notes, comedian Billy Hicks was one of the sources of inspiration for some of the songs.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Tool is Tool. That was like really probably the heaviest they've been in a while. It was just straight up. It wasn't as I guess it's not like what they are today where they're doing so much more, but
Right.
as a debut album, even after their EP, it just was just awesome, just real heavy, not really grunge, not really heavy metal, kind of somewhere in between, but unique with their own. The light vocals with some harshness, with just obviously solid drumming.
Yeah, I don't think bass has ever sounded like that before that. You know, how it was utilized and how dark. Yeah. It's a good choice. It was on my list for sure. We're going back to you now? You
Sure.
good?
Yep, I'm
Cool.
good. I'm good. My number 5 is the Talking Heads 77,
Yes.
which was a great album. It was a great album. I got to
Right.
see them that year.
Says
It
cassette.
was, they were, even though they sound English, they are really a New Yorker band. And David Bryan's,
David Byrne.
David Burns, Chris Frantz, and Tina Wayward, and Jerry Harrod Allison. They are the most acclaimed band of the 1980s. Even though they started this in 77, they were a vicious band.
They didn't hold any standard, that's for sure.
No, they didn't. No, they did had no standards for
True.
anybody. I like them. I still like them. I still listen to them now and then. And their debut album, Talking Heads 77.
Okay, good pick.
I saw that tour at a bar on Elmwood called the Spectrum, which is now a CVS.
Oh,
And
Really?
yeah, it's
Wow.
not far from Buff State. And
Okay.
so they were great. And it was a great double bill because the opener was the best Buffalo band of all time, the Jumpers. And the Jumpers opened up for them, and the Talking Heads did their 90 minutes, and it was phenomenal.
Jumpers are in the Buffalo Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, right?
They are.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we'll go right to Mr. Crichton.
This is hard.
Oh, yeah.
I know.
My list right here is deep.
Oh yeah, I bet.
And I probably just skimming the surface, but I'm just gonna throw a dart, and I don't know. I mean, number 5 could be tied with number 12, but I think I'm gonna go with a record that excited the crap out of me when it first came out, and every person that was in shouting distance, I would say, I just heard a record by this band, and they will be soon enough the biggest band of the world. And people looked at me like I had 3 heads, and they said, "Why would you say that?" And I said, "Listen to this record. I'm telling you, they're going to be one of the biggest bands in the world." And the album I'm talking about is "Boy" by U2.
YouTube.
Huh?
oh,
It's been just from the opening chords of "I Will Follow" all the way to the end of the record. It just rings with excitement. And I was one of the 25 people that were at Harvey and Corky's stage 1 when they opened up for Tallis on the night that John Lennon was killed.
Did they ever play the Irish place in Buffalo?
No.
No? Okay. I just wondered because I remember
Great pick.
the Frames they played there once. They were supposed to be the next U2. So I wondered if U2 would actually wound up playing there now.
Yeah, no, but I love that record.
that's a good one.
It wasn't their
Nice.
best record, but
No, but it's good.
It's quite a great debut.
No, well, but here's what you said. You said you played the hell out of it, okay? And that's where I am right here. All right. There's and to play the hell out of a record means that it was something different for me. It was like the first time I ever heard any of this. It gripped me, made me take notice, even if I had to go back to discover it. Okay. And there's one on here that I had to go back to discover that I didn't even know about until doing these shows, or well, actually watching people do these shows, and then we do it on our own. So my number 5 is the Mahavishnu Orchestra, and it's the
Ooh.
Intermountain Flame.
Fantastic. record.
That jazz fusion record is mind blowing for the era it's in. Those people that are playing on that record, all could have solo careers. Some of them did, some of them didn't. They could have jumped anywhere and done anything. They were also responsible for the Steve Vais of the world and the Satrianis. McLaughlin was breeding them like cats.
Yep.
So just brilliant drumming, brilliant bass. They included everything. As a matter of fact, that they even got, is it their best record? I think it is, but I think people might argue that that might not be the case. And I don't have the entire ear for that whole thing, but I just enjoy the hell out of that. And it's always something I go back to. And if you're not a person who goes back and you're always consistently looking at modern stuff and the new, I mean, I do that all the time because this is the show, but going back sometimes you'll like, wow, I missed that. And that is a band that I had no concept of at that point. So, and of course, when you're 13, I don't think you're going to be having a concept of that.
Not with
Not
that
your
record. That's not a 13-year-old record.
No.
Yeah, I know. All right, back to Deb, number 4.
This is a 13-year-old's record, and it is a fun record. And my number 5, 4, and 3 are all within about 3 years of each other. It was a time when I was late in my high school years and going to parties, and this is a party album. It's fun. It was different. I don't know. I don't think there would be a person on the planet that would not hear this one song and not know who it is, but it's B-52s. It's not that every song on there was, radio worthy, but when you listen to that album, they became part of your party life. You just felt happy when you hear it. And Planet Claire and Purple Hair, like, that's some poetry there, Mark. Come on.
Oh, it's probably, it'll be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as one of the greatest lyrics of all time.
And Rock Lobster.
Rock Lobster.
That was my song to dance to at weddings for years. And I'm telling any of you out there, if you invite me to your next wedding, it's probably going to be me next because I've only been married 40 times and maybe it's time to have another celebration. But I would get up there and dance the Rock Lobster for you.
Rock Lobster.
So that's my number 2. It was fun, it was happy, and it was totally different.
All right. Q.
Okay. So my number 4 was one I probably would have never heard without Mark playing it.
Geez, I hope it's not on my list.
It's not. It's probably, this is a very personal choice, acquired taste, I think. I don't know, maybe not. But it's De La Soul, 3 Feet and Rising.
Nice.
And it's not something I think ever was played on the radio. And so Me, Myself, and I don't know if you know that one. Anybody?
It's just me, myself, and I.
The magic number.
3. It's the magic number. What does it all mean?
Oh, yeah.
Or Potholes in My Lawn.
Potholes in my lawn.
That sounds like a country song. Go for holes in my.
I just want to know if she's going to get
pasture.
to the sexual innuendo ones now. No? Okay. All right.
But it's a really fun, it's a fun hip hop kind of album that came out 1989.
Two Live Crew.
Samples. What? Did Jeff say something?
What, Jeff?
Is that 2 Live Crew?
Nope.
2 Live Crew.
It's not. This is a peace-loving hip hop.
Yeah.
Alternative hip hop is some of the terminology, but it's just a really fun album. It's very creative. It's very quirky. It's somewhat geeky.
There's sampling. You got Daryl Hall, Daryl Hall, John Oates sampling.
Lots of sampling going on. From what I understand, they kind of launched a lot of that. And without getting into all of the behind the scenes things, apparently there were a lot of legal things that they helped to kind of determine the forward trajectory of sampling in music, because they did do it quite a bit, but they didn't do it to the point where nowadays sometimes you listen to a song, if you're a young person and you might think, oh, that's really cool, and not realize that it was actually from Sting 30 years ago. Like they used it in a, I don't know, what would you say?
I don't know, maybe I'll say it in a couple of minutes.
Uh-oh.
Thief.
What? Oh,
Of course it's on my,
no.
of course it's on my list.
Are you kidding? You
But
just said
that's
there was
okay.
Are you gonna sample me?
864.
I'm gonna sample, I am sampling you, yes.
Okay, anyway, De La Soul.
Just take your big ass to the bathroom and please use a little bit of soul. No, all right, never mind. All right, Jeff Young, then we'll go to.
I remember that song from your wedding. It was great.
I always try
Let's
to
see.
think
This might be the first controversy. I might have to call it an audible here because originally I was gonna pick Splendor Solace from the Tea Party, and then I realized that that actually isn't their first album because they released self-titled album independently when no record label would pick them up, and it was
Yep.
like a lo-fi album which was later remastered, but has many of the songs that are on Splendor Solace. So I'll call an audible. I'm gonna go with Naveed from Our Lady Peace.
Yep.
Oh, nice.
Like every track is great on this album. And
Nice. Yep.
It's just so unique. A vocal that is unique could have been on one of those odd vocal lists that we were talking about a week ago.
Yeah.
But just a rock and roll album, and it's awesome. And just the diversity in the vocal is just unique. And yeah, just awesome. Just awesome.
Yeah, he was taking
Good
a
choice.
ballad, like I think it's Hope, right? And it's just eerie. It's not even a standard ballad, you know.
It's almost
And
like
the drumming
you know,
on this record is in the best realm of that era. I mean, it's
a different guitar tone, a vocal fry with like voice crackling rasp. It's just great.
yeah, things out of tune. It's awesome. Drop D.
Yeah.
Grateful Dude.
Yep. We're gonna go with an album which happened to be really fond of this of the dude here. With Chrissy Hines as keyboard and guitarist, James Honeyman Scott, bassist Peter Hardin,
Yeah. Right?
and and
Yep.
drummer Martin Chambers for the Pretenders in 1978. This was a world-changing album. It was a rocker. It was my first album I owned in the 80s that personified the word rock. It was really good. There was nothing wrong about it. Everything right about it. The thing was great. It was a great album.
A little bit ahead of its time, maybe.
Way ahead of its time.
Yeah.
I'm not.
10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, I like that one. I mean, I'm not. I just recently got the Pretenders box set.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That was a deep dive. That was well done. That was well
Yeah.
put together.
Really cool.
Mr. Crichton.
I love hearing like the Ramones, B-52s, Pretenders,
Yeah.
all three bands I worked with. So love
There
that.
you go.
Yeah.
Tell them hi.
Yeah, there. Gosh, where do I pick? What's number 4? Any of these can be number 4.
Don't pick one of Mark's. You're gonna be mad.
I'm not gonna pick on. You know what?
Yeah, we'll give
As
Mark
we're going
nothing
along,
this
I'm thinking
time.
like, okay, I actually don't want to dupe anybody. But when you're at 4, it could happen. Man, could I have a 5-way tie?
Sure. Quickly.
No. I think I'm just gonna throw the dart here and just say music from Big Pink by the band.
Was that on your list?
What?
The band? Letters from
No,
Big Pink?
no,
No?
wasn't.
Oh, cool.
Good.
Music from Big Pink, after the band holed up in Woodstock in '67 and made the basement tapes with Zimmy, Mr. Dillon. And then they stayed at Big Pink and they made their debut album, which Robbie Robertson's songwriting, the 3-part harmony and lead vocals from Levon Helm, Rick Danko, and Richard Manuel, and the magic keyboards of Garth Hudson, who happens to be the only one that's left standing out of the 5 of them. But that album is special and close to my heart. So I guess that'll be 4 for now.
Okay.
You know,
So-
that could change at any moment.
Yeah, so when you, because you're an aficionado of that, it was the new Basement tapes good for you, that when T-Bone Burnett assembled the
Yeah,
guy from Mumford, Mark Mumford, and
Yeah,
all those-
I've got I actually bought that.
I really liked it. It brought me
I
back
enjoyed
there.
it. I like that take on it. It's not as good as the original,
Did
but
you watch the documentary?
yeah,
Yeah, that's the part I liked the most. That was kind of fun.
yeah,
See how them put all
yeah.
that together.
yeah, and yeah, with T-Bone associated with it, it was going to be a
Yeah.
good take. Yeah. So, but yeah, music from Big Pink by the band.
All right.
It's their follow up. The self-titled album after that was more popular, but
Yeah,
Big Pink got them rolling.
probably got more popular as this has gone on, right? That's sometimes happens.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people classify that as one of the Americana albums of all time, but what's that? It's just another tag.
Yeah.
It's a great rock.
Canadian
It's a great rock and roll
Americana.
record. Yeah.
Canadian American.
I'm not surprised you went with the band there.
It's a great record, really is.
Yeah.
And it's something that people, that are like my brother-in-law and those people, they should try it. Maybe they'll find it too. It's like we did. Wasn't born in there. My number 4, De La Soul's 3 Feet High and Rising.
What are
yes.
you guys married or something?
Yeah, I kind of figured we would have some overlap. That record, oh my God, I didn't even have that record. My buddy had a Chevette. I think it was a Chevette. And he played that cassette all the time, and it was just bopping around. We were out till like 2 a.m. just following people. I don't even know what we were doing, but just listen to that album. And and now Prince Paul, he became a huge record producer. He did Eminem's Marshall Mathers, some of that and others. So yeah, they did do the sampling. That was their deal, and that started that whole thing. Me, myself, and I got MTV Play, and that hip hop record is considered one of the greatest hip hop records of all time. So
Really?
my list.
Who did they collaborate with on the Judgment Night soundtrack?
Yes, they were on. Who were they with? Was it Faith No More?
Maybe, I don't remember.
Oh,
Yeah, maybe. Great soundtrack. Deb, back to you. Number 3.
okay. My number 3, it's like I said, it's in the same time era. And I didn't know if this was breaking the rules, but I know that it isn't breaking the rules because this is their band name. Pretty sure. Well, it's Van Halen.
Yeah, you're all right.
I'm okay with Van
Oh,
Halen. Does it
sure.
meet the rules?
They are not.
What?
They
Yeah,
are
of
not a
course it
solo
does.
band or a solo act. They are a band for sure.
Correct. And what good credit to them because they're very a visual band. They do well in videos, but there was no MTV yet with this. So
Nope.
this MTV did not make Van Halen big. They made him bigger, I think, but they did a good job with this album, and everybody knows, Running with the Devil and Jamie's Crying, and it was like the precursor to hair bands before you really knew about what a hair band was going to be. But it was still rock and roll, and it was still good guitar and good drums and good vocals, and it was just fun. All my albums are fun that I picked.
I remember reading about them. They would have parties. They would just, before they were even known, they would just be playing parties. And they'd be so loud, they would draw so many people. The cops would show up and they'd have to ask which house the party's actually, where's the band at?
Yeah, because they didn't know which
Yep.
house. It's so large.
That's crazy.
Wow.
You could just
We
scare
are
them down the block.
Last night we were talking about this album, and the song "Ice Cream Man" came up. And,
Oh,
and I just said it. They were smart to play off of other people's materials. Same thing the Stones did. You got let people know where you came from. Give them an in. Sue.
Okay, well, I almost went with Van Halen, but at the last minute, I decided to be true to Foo Fighters. So I went with their debut album because how could I not? But I'm not gonna go into detail because we just did a whole show on them, which you can go and watch. And Alex did an incredible job of covering the entire album. So I won't bore you with the details, but
No, we'll let him bore you with it.
but again, it was Dave Grohl coming out of Nirvana and everything that had happened, and Kurt Cobain, and he pulled this album together himself and did all of the instruments, and he I don't like the word reinvented. He pushed forward, he pushed through, and he created something incredible that has lasted. And so Foo Fighters.
Great record.
I agree
The one
with
thing
you,
I can say
Susie.
about you is that after World War III and we have to start over the whole world, you will be the one to help start the Foo Fighter
Yeah.
revolution and get them back to popularity again.
Go Grohl. Grohl
Yeah.
for president.
Roll for president. There you go. Sue's all in.
Yay.
Um,
And he'll make some barbecued ribs for us. He's a good, he
Everybody.
likes to use a smoker.
Yes. Jeff Young.
I picked Mental Jewelry from Live.
Ah,
Oh, yes. I was just thinking about that the other day.
It's just such a great album.
yeah, it
like,
is.
Such a great vocal with a little bit of funk and rock to it. And
Yeah.
what's funny is I looked it up on Wikipedia to see if there's anything noteworthy or any nice anecdotes. And when you look it up on Wikipedia, it says, "Oh, this is the band's second album." And I'm like, wait a minute. So I guess I didn't realize they were originally called Death of a Dictionary. They released
What?
one album
I didn't know
called
that.
Divided Mind, and then they had an EP after that before they even named their band Live.
Really?
But technically, since this is the first live album, it is the first album.
Yes.
Yeah,
There you
it
go.
was the debut. They had I can't think of Heaven Wore a Shirt and another song that were ahead of that, and they were from the other incarnation. But yes, ridiculously good album. More on that later.
And you know, what a great name for a band because they sound awesome live.
Yes.
That was a really good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And by the way, they are touring with Our Lady Peace, another band that I just picked.
Yeah.
They are?
Nice.
Where
They're
I want to
touring
go
with-
see both of them. Let's
They're
go.
touring with Our Lady Peace and Stone Temple Pilots
No.
and Soul Asylum.
Soul Asylum. Yeah.
Let's
Soul Asylum was
go.
opener.
But
If you
Stone,
can- Let's go, Jeff.
who's the singer in Stone Temple Pilots now?
His name is just Singer. They just call him Singer.
I want to say I know who it is, and I can't think of who it is now.
They're not going to be the
You're
same
not,
without
Jeff.
Scott Weiland, right?
No, I haven't even heard what they sound like, so I don't know.
Singer.
Is it
But
like
they're playing the whole album. They're playing the
isn't that
whole
what they
album
call?
purple.
Is he the guy that sings for Journey now? The singer? The
Yes.
same guy.
Yes, it's Singer.
He's
Mark
a busy
Singer.
dude.
What? No, that's the actor.
It's
Stop.
funny, Jeff. When Mark was down here with Sue and the girls, and they were at the lacrosse tournament at the same hotel. Joey Belladonna, lead singer for Anthrax, was there. He was actually here to perform. He's got like a Journey cover band that he
No, he
performed.
doesn't.
Yeah, and
Wow.
I've seen the YouTube videos. He sounds great. I couldn't believe it.
That's crazy.
It's just like when Gary Sharon was in Van Halen, and they called him. What's that singer's name?
Yeah, what's that
Exactly.
actor's name?
Exactly. Poor guy.
I
Yeah,
know. It's so
He
sad.
was the best. Technically, he was the best singer out of all three of them.
for sure. Yeah, technically. Yeah.
Right.
Go by me.
Go past. All right. Mr. Crichton.
Again off this list, but I think number 3 is going to be. I'm just going to. I'm getting to the point,
Yeah.
and I might be riding on the Marrakesh Express, but it's a long time gone. So the magic of the Crosby, Stills and Nash record,
Yeah.
is special, and it's up there in the annals, and some people might say it's the greatest debut album by a
Well,
band ever. It comes in number 3 tonight for me.
Okay.
The harmonies, the songs, Stills plays most of the instruments on that record. But the three of them together, God bless Cass Elliot for letting them sing together in at her house, and that's what brought the three of them together. So
Oh, that's a cool story. I
yeah,
didn't know that. I like that.
yeah. So that's how they started. So, the Buffalo Springfield broken up. Crosby got fired by the Byrds, and when Nash took Marrakesh Express and he wanted the Hollies to record it, and they said no, and he said, "That's it, I'm done."
Interesting.
So yeah, great record.
Good choice. Can I go back to you or no? All right. My number 3, live, Mental Jewelry.
Nice.
I don't know. When I heard this record, I couldn't believe this kid's voice. Hollow,
Yeah.
ripping, again at UB, one of the people that I knew was a promoter for that, and came to me and said, "You got an idea for a band?" And I said, "Well, you might want to try these guys out of York, Pennsylvania. They're called Live." And she said, "Well, what do they sound like?" And I said, "Well, they sound like a heavier REM." And then they played the Triple Jim, and the one person turned around and he goes, "A heavier REM? It's not even close." He goes, I go, "Oh, it's I'm sorry, but yeah, when they go live, it goes from here to here, and it's completely heavier and darker, and just his voice is immaculate live." And they are correct to name their band that way. They are still to this day the best sounding band I've heard. They were on an ocean side in Virginia Beach. I don't know how they pulled it off. They sounded so, and there's waves and the wind crashing. You didn't know. You felt like you were, in a studio.
That's great.
Voice can carry. So yes.
When you were there, were the dolphins crying, or did the lightning crash at all?
Yes, there were dolphins crying, lightning crashes, and he actually rapped Eminem in that particular venue. So. Anywho, now can I go to you? All right, the Grateful Dead.
Okay, my number 3 is the Beatles.
Yep.
1967, 64. 64. The 63 album was never fully released. 64 was the full release.
Please, we're talking about Please, right?
Please.
Yeah.
It was
Yep.
never
Came out
because
in
the introduction of the
63.
Beatles came out.
Please Me came out in 63.
Yeah.
Yeah, this came out in the early 64s, January of 64, January 4th, 64. It's the Beatles.
Yeah.
I mean, it's you don't have anything else to say about it. And I needed to include it on my list because it's one of the forming bands. They gave almost everybody ideas. And that's what they were. They were an idea. They were ahead of their time. They were way, way ahead of their time. And, they need no other introduction.
They still made it accessible though, which is interesting.
Yes, they
what I
made
mean? It still had the pop sensibility, but it was ahead of its time. It's still connectivity ahead of its time. But
And you can pick up an album a day and put it on a turntable and listen to it. And it's just like 50 years ago. Or 60 years ago, or 70.
60. Don't put us in the 70s yet.
61 years.
61, right? 61 years? 73?
Came out in early 63.
Yeah, 63. So Deb, right?
That's my my album. I finally am out of the 70s here for number 2.
Sure you are.
I was actually excited for this album because it came out after a time that we were listening to things like Prince and Madonna, that kind of stuff that was, love all that. It's great. I'm a big Prince fan, saw him in concert. It made a big impression on me, but this is back to the kind of music that I normally gravitate towards. But it's Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction in 87. I mean, when I even just revisit it and realize the songs that were all on that one album for this band is amazing. And Sweet Child of Mine, Mr. Brownstone, Paradise City, Welcome to the Jungle. Like these are songs that every person that likes rock and roll knows and probably knows all the words. And my claim to fame though, you know how I can do the Rock Lobster? I can dance like Axl Rose to Welcome to the Jungle. And I can get right down, and I can still do it. I just can't get back up. So, and neither can Axl anymore.
No, that's
Help, I'm Axl Rose and I can't get up.
help. I'm Axl Rose. I can't-
Great. Love it.
Dude, I remember when I heard that, and I'm like, this guy is not going to survive next to the second album. There's
Mhm,
no way. That
mhm.
vocal, it's forced. It can't. That's not natural.
He's got 4 different voices on that album.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He
True.
does. Yep. Crazy.
What-
I love
what
that
did you-
album to this
What did you
day.
say, Jeff?
4 different voices.
He's got 4 different voices on that album.
No, I thought Jeff Crichton said something.
He said it's true.
I said true.
Oh, it's true. Oh, yeah.
It's
yeah.
true. It is true.
So
Yeah,
that's
I'm
my
sorry,
number
our-
2,
our
guys.
sound here is not as good for my computer, but
We're 6 hours behind.
what did you say? What'd you say? What'd you say?
What?
Is it Christmas there? It's New Year's here. I don't. Yeah, great. So Guns N' Roses gets their airplay for Welcome to the Jungle, courtesy of Clint Eastwood,
Why?
the Deadpool.
For real.
Oh.
Song is played at the Deadpool during the scene where Jim Carrey, who gets his first role as an actor, is acting out a scene for this fake horror movie, and he's dancing to it, and they have them in a meat locker.
Mhm.
Check
Oh,
it
wow.
out. That's the first time that song is ever heard in music history. So Clint Eastwood,
Really?
who's basically a
That-
music aficionado himself, can play and score and everything. So he had his
That's-
finger on the pulse. of
I
something.
just remember after school, it was on MTV at my friend's house on the top 10 countdown, and it was always number 1 for like, I don't know, 2 years.
Yeah. yeah. Cool.
Yeah, it was.
It's a great album.
All right. So for my number 2.
Yeah.
I-
Uh-oh.
Gonna pick another one that's mine.
Oh no.
I went with, and I know this was like a weird thing because of my foos addiction, but I chose Pearl Jam 10, 1991, Live, Even Flow, Jeremy. Eddie Vedder has such an incredible vocal
Yeah.
Mhm.
like presence, and
Another great live band.
Yes.
Another great live band.
I've never seen them.
No, we never
Oh
did.
my
I
gosh.
feel like I've missed the boat on that. I
There
know,
you
but
go. Oh my gosh, they're unbelievable. When you get a chance, please.
The only
3
time I
hours
saw
and-
them was their last show of the tour of Buffalo. They played like 22 songs. It's unbelievable.
yeah.
For
Yeah,
real? That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, they're
And nobody
they're
talks
great.
about that the way they talk about like Springsteen back in the day when his 3-hour, well, he was like on the 3-hour
Oh.
Gilligan tour, I guess.
Yes.
But
Yeah, yeah,
Those
yeah.
concerts are 3-hour tours, that's for sure.
Yeah.
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 So Pearl Jam, I saw that record. They were touring, and what a lineup this was. The Chili Peppers were headlining off of Blood Sugar Sex Magic, that album, and
Yeah.
then Pearl Jam was the second band. They were the second warm-up band. The first warm-up band was the Smashing Pumpkins.
Pumpkin.
Oh my
So
god.
like that tour was
Wow.
like fantastic.
Was that Gish
That's-
or which album was
Yeah,
that?
that had to be Gish.
What's
Right?
that?
Is that
Was
Gish?
that Gish or a different album for Smashing Pumpkins?
I don't. It was like 91. So
Oh, okay. Well, okay.
Wow. Nice.
91 Gish? No. Yeah, maybe.
No, it would have been their probably.
No, it'd be the next. Yeah, and I can't think of the name of the next one. I don't know why.
I don't
It's-
either.
Oh well. Anyway, they're
Yeah, they were just a presence. They dominated. I don't know how to say it, but
he owns a song when he sings it. He
yeah.
owns it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
I feel like they directed the grunge movement
And they survived it too, which is another.
Well,
Yeah.
right, they're still doing their thing.
Their
and-
last
Yeah,
record was
exactly. I think that's the difference.
Cream of the crop. Cream of the crop.
Yeah.
All right.
And they put out great record after great record after great record.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know.
They had a couple of album cover faux pas, but we can talk about that in another show.
Oh, that's a good show.
That's a big.
I've
show.
got
What
a
do you-
friend of mine that's such a big Pearl Jam fan that he would like that. I don't know how many years it was. They went through the vaults and were putting out like live album after live album.
Yeah,
And a friend of mine got every single one of them.
every single one of them. I have a
Yeah.
couple that made that. I got the Buffalo Show. I've got Rochester or something like that. I got a couple
Yeah.
of them, but
But
Yeah.
he went and he had to have every single one.
yeah, not every show's the same. So
Yeah.
pretty close. But anyway, yeah. And those are triple discs. You don't get those on two.
No.
Grateful Dude, are you ready?
Yeah. Yep, 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 yep. Okay, Jethro Tull.
Jethro Tull.
I
I knew there was gonna be a few here somewhere.
There's no way I could do this series without breaking the Tull in there. This one was debut album broke at number 10 in the British charts. Partially thanks to the great airplay from the BBC's DJ John Peel, and before the release of in the U.S. Guitarist Abrams left from Bow Down Pig due to Anderson's performance for less than blues oriented favor. The album was released in June 1968.
68. Okay.
Yep, and this album was recorded just so Tull could gain a residency at the Marquee Club, where the Stones and the Who's launched their career. The band, the band advisors failed to get Ian to give up the flute and let Mick do all the singing. The album was recorded without any record company contracts per se, presuming correctly a deal could be made. The album had little commercial impact in the U.S. charts, even though I had a copy of it.
you and 17 other people.
Yeah, exactly. I think the album was great. It was a powerhouse. It was ringing. It was everything back in 67, 68, 69. A youngster like me could really rock out to.
Yeah. It's never that's been a band I keep trying. I
know.
with the rest of the world.
Don't get your hands on Jeff's copy of that album. It
No,
might
no.
get
That was like a
thrown
blues
into the
record
ocean.
almost.
It
It was like a very bluesy, that record.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because I kind of
Yeah.
wondered, like at the
Yeah.
Marquee, right? If you were trying to get in there as a house band at that time, you had to play what they wanted you to play. You couldn't break
Right.
through with what you sounded like. You kind of had to play along, right? So that had to be part of the set. It had to be part of the. But then to add flute and all that, I mean, that's
Yeah, they added flute,
Yeah,
and
so-
everybody tried to get him to stop playing the flute.
Yeah, I've been trying to. I have a petition. I don't know why I don't get it. I respect it.
After the show, we're gonna listen to 8 hours of that.
8 hours of Tull.
I'm ready.
8 hours of Tull.
Well,
I don't know
8
what-
hours.
There's some singing in there. Might not help either. But anyway.
You know what,
I
though?
understand it.
I call him Jethro Tull now. But the albums after that, Benefit and Stand Up, those two albums came out before Aqualung. Those two albums might be their best records.
Yeah, I have to go back.
And
'cause
Aqualung got all
started
this
at
airplay,
Aqualung,
but-
so
But Benefit and Stand Up,
Benefit.
to me,
Stand
those
Up.
are, those are, for me, they're best records.
I need it in. I got people watching the show that like me, and they hate me because I don't like Jethro Tull, and but they respect the fact
I don't
that
either
so
anymore.
it's nice.
I don't respect it.
Yeah, I know you don't respect me. No, but hey, I get no respect. But anyway, Jeff Gryden.
Okay, you can't? Okay. So, this, as the Yardbirds were
Oh,
breaking
okay.
up in late 67, early 68, and Jimmy Page said, like, okay, everybody's abandoned me. But I'm gonna start another band, and we're gonna call it the New Yardbirds. And I think it was Keith Moon said, if you call yourselves the New Yardbirds, that it's gonna bomb and it's gonna land like a Led Zeppelin. And Jimmy Page said, okay, that's the name of the band. And that first record, or the first guitar parts, dang dang, and then Bonham's drumming and the cowbell, and you hear
Yeah.
Good Times, Bad Times, and all the way through till they end with that spacey 8.5 minutes of Dazed and Confused. Bang, ding. What a great record. Oh my gosh. That album was like alarming. And again, I'm like, the world was introduced to them at that record. Was it their best album? No. But without that record,
Yeah.
the other six might have not followed. So that's my number 2 for right now.
Yeah, great record. Probably on everybody's list on the panel.
that's a good one.
Not mine.
Really?
I'm surprised.
I'm stunned. More on that later.
More on that later.
Did Jeff Young?
I picked Appetite for Destruction, and what's funny is I remember like this album itself, even just the artwork on it is like the first time you're introduced to the band, you see them as cartoon skulls, all with their own signature.
Yes.
And on the inside, there's a copy of a painting called, the name of the painting is actually Appetite for Destruction. That's how they got the name of it. And but yeah, just this band, like everything, I don't know whether it's intentional or not, but it was just like spoke perfectly to me at my age, like as a kid that just love rock and metal. And it's just like, it's called Appetite for Destruction. How cool is that? It's got them all as skulls and skeletons on the cover. How cool is that? It's just, the songs just kick your ass.
That album cover is the epitome of a tattoo right there.
Yeah.
If you want to get a tattoo and you don't know what to get and you like rock and roll, get that as a tattoo.
Free sound advice. But yeah, like with the different voice styles that he chose from one track to the next, and then another signature guitarist, lead guitarist, and Slash, that everyone knows Slash when they hear him because he's got his own tone.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just, and a lot of songs for a first debut album. I had like 12 or 13 songs on it, which is great. And like there's not a bad song on that album. It's just unbelievable. And like I don't know, like just I don't think there's anybody that hasn't heard something off this album.
Exactly.
Yep. Yeah.
Agreed.
It's probably considered one of the top 25 or 50 debuts in history. For sure. If not probably in the top 10, I would think. But that's an argument we'll have much later on. All right. It's me. So I could have said Rage Against the Machine, but then I realized that I didn't play that album as much as I play the follow-up or Battle of Los Angeles. So, but another band that I didn't think anybody else could do that, could hang with Rage Against the Machine as a debut record, but I was wrong. And that is the Dead Weather, Whorehound. And that's Jack White, Alison Mossart from the Kills. This band just said, well, I can't, I mean, Jack White can just about do whatever the hell he wants.
Yeah,
the guitar or the drums, doesn't really matter. It's heavy. It has that guitar lick that happens in these songs. You're going to think that it actually is Tom Morello from Rage Against the Machine, but it's not. It's Jack White. And Mossart's vocal as a female from the Kills in there just changes things dramatically. And it's one of those unknown bands. So if you love Rage Against the Machine and you want something that kind of falls in that category as a debut record, Whorehound is an amazing piece to listen to. And that's my number.
I love it.
Back to number one, Deb.
All right. Well,
And
Jeff
no pun
Crichton.
intended,
Jeff
number one.
Crichton. Jeff Crichton. Will you marry me? Because my number one is Led Zeppelin. And everybody knew it was going to be. And I'm mad at you. I take back my proposal. You should not sneak in before me because I don't even have anything left to say. Other
Sure you
than
do.
When's the first
everything
time you
that
heard
you
it?
said. What?
Where'd you hear it? Where'd you hear it for the first time? Where were you?
Oh,
Ah,
Okay. By the way, this is a rated R show, so it's okay. Just.
let's just say my first serious boyfriend was a Zeppelin fan. so-
Okay. All right.
No, I mean I had heard it before then, but it's probably more important to me now because of the legacy of how I like and love Led Zeppelin and Jimmy Page and Robert Plant and all of that. I would say that if that journey didn't happen for me, I wouldn't pick that. But now we did the Led Zeppelin, the catalog review show. That prepared me for all these other ones because that was so difficult for me to rank them. And that's where it brought me back to all these albums and all these songs and just how great they are and how short of a period of time
Mhm.
they were in our music scene to influence us. But were they really? Because as Jeff said, Jimmy Page wanted to start the new Yardbirds. So they didn't come to us without a little bit of a pedigree.
Yeah.
They weren't totally unknown, all of them. However, Jimmy Page, he's still rocking and he's still doing it. He might have an album that I'd put on my debut album for male artists. No, probably not.
No.
But
What?
I don't
The
think-
Death Wish Part 2?
so anyway, you stole my thunder there, Jeff, but
I'm sorry. Love
you
but wait,
better
you could
now.
talk. You could talk about Jimmy and JPJ, how they were session musicians, right?
Yeah, I could do all that, but that's your job. Okay. I just talk about how it's a really fun song and I like the title name. I'm
Yeah,
just
there's
the
not a bad song on that
ridiculousness girl. Like, I don't have anything deep to say, but it's the best. Number
Did you
one.
have it on record or did you have it on 8-track?
Oh, I had it on album
Album.
and
Album.
8-track
Wow.
and cassette and CD. But I
Wow.
don't have I'd love to have all four together, like in a little display, but I
Okay.
don't.
So Christmas gift for anyone that's looking.
Play them all at the same time.
Yes.
yes.
Oh God,
Cool.
that'd be weird.
There's special
Have a
messages.
wall of sound.
Yeah. A wall of
Play
sound.
them backward.
Sue,
No, that's Satan.
Did you?
Uh,
Hey Deb, have you ever heard the Yardbirds version of Dazed and Confused?
No. Should I?
So go on YouTube and watch it. It's different because
Mhm.
Keith Ralph was a great singer, but he
Yeah.
wasn't in Robert's league.
Nobody
and
is.
it sounds different, but it's kind of like cool to
Interesting.
say. Yeah.
All right, I will do that.
Mhm.
What? Oh no.
Sue,
No,
Sue,
say it as it's
Sue
so.
is having attention deficit disorder issues. There's a gecko, so she
She
wants.
likes the gecko.
She loves the gecko, and it's a big one. That's
I like the geckos.
Yeah.
We'll
Hey,
put them in
Earl,
your best suitcase.
And
Take
he's
them back.
talking to us, trying to sell us car insurance.
All right. Okay. Well, I also had a hankering
Oh.
for some destruction. So I don't know if there's anything left to be said other than it's just a great album. It was a fun album. It was a creative album. And as the aftermath of that album, I love, if anybody watches YouTube videos, there's a lot of like modern day, today, present day music teachers that are teaching kids about Guns N' Roses in their classroom. And I mean, it's so weird, but then you see these kids and they're standing on desks and they're all like singing the songs and they're doing the
Stop.
percussion and it's awesome. And so it's really cool to see because who would have thought? Like when it came out, it's like, yeah, you're partying.
Yeah.
You're
I don't think
partying,
that's on there.
but it's awesome to see that these kids these days are still digging it and still loving it.
Yep.
And it was more than just a fad. It was more than just guys with the hair and the headband or bandanas and I don't know. It's like I don't know if they were taken seriously enough at the time, but I mean, they didn't take themselves seriously. They just put themselves out there, but
Yeah.
they're actually extremely talented and gifted and good. And
Yep.
so that's kind of why I picked it.
Well, I agree with you.
The songs stick in your head and
Yep.
we could all probably I don't think we can legally, but we could all probably sing the songs right now together.
Welcome
Yeah,
to
me.
the. I got a pen.
Except for Jeff.
Where's my hairbrush?
He did.
I
Or
got a
when
hairbrush
song
right
ends-
The
here.
Grateful Dude
When one
did
song
not go
ends, you
dancing
immediately
with
think
Mr.
of the next song
Yeah.
beginning. 'Cause you know
Deb
the
could do
order.
the dance.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, that's it for me. So
Fun. So fun.
Grateful Dude.
Okay.
and the gecko is gone.
Oh,
no,
good.
nope, there it
It's
goes.
on top of the trash.
Okay.
I bet there's more
My
than
number
just
one
one.
pick could have been easily any other lots of other bands, especially Led Zeppelin, which came up to mind more than one time when I was researching this. But I'm gonna go back to my number one. Before I was a Deadhead, I was a Doors head.
Head, yes.
Yeah, and their first album was absolutely marvelous.
Yeah.
Sure
You
was.
know, Break On
Agreed.
Through, Soul Kitchen, The Crystal, Ship, 20th Century Fox, Light My Fire. This is just, I mean, that's what
Yeah.
this is what dreams are made of. Just
Yeah.
listening to this album. It was
Yep.
fabulous. It was then, I can play it now and everybody knows 90% of the song.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
it was a great album. And
Agree.
as I said, I had a lot of problems pushing the Led Zeppelin or the Doors, but I took the Doors.
That's a great album, and it's hey, without that, we don't have that Tea Party record that Jeff's.
That's true. Yep.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Speaking of Jeff Young,
Always Will and For Always Will Be my number one album is Van Halen one.
I
Like-
knew it.
This is like the first band album music I think I ever really cared about. And you know, it's kind of like unfair because here's Edward Van Halen. Like I look at him, he's on a it's the album cover is partly 25% him at show and tell. Look at this guitar I built from nothing with all used parts. That's why it's called the Frankenstrat, and that's why I have my own tone because I can make my own guitar. It's just unbelievable. It's like, but yeah, like it's like okay, I'll just compare everything else I listened to the rest of my life compared to Eddie Van Halen or to the showmanship of David Lee Roth or to the underrated bass playing, and the drumming and like just those guys for as known as like David Lee Roth is for himself and Eddie Van Halen is a legend. Like they worked because they all together played awesome together.
Some of all their parts for sure.
What's funny is like, when you think of like David Lee Roth, the way he sings, especially on this album, he'll always add a little something extra. It's like, it's like, let me tell you something, people, like, or Mama Ma, that's what Edward does when he plays. It plays a riff and then a little something extra in between. Like they're just kind of adding their own personality to everything. And just stellar. I mean, just stellar. And two, like the harmonies they have as a rock band, like Feel Your Love Tonight on this album is like, you can't beat it. Like
Exactly.
just outstanding.
and that's why it's on here multiple times.
Yep. Agreed.
Jeff Crichton, you're number one.
Oh my God.
What?
I don't know. It's so exciting.
If if I didn't name this album, I would be banned from the world of music. And the fact that here in the United States, it would take us 10 more months well, 11 months before we even knew who these guys were. But when Please Please Me was released in March 23rd of 1963, and you put that record on the turntable and you hear McCartney's countdown of 1, 2, 3, and then you hear a cover song, then you hear Please Please Me, then you hear another cover song, and you hear Lennon's voice singing about misery, and then you hear Love Me Do and P.S. I Love You, and then you finish the album with Lennon screaming, shake it, shake it, shake it, baby.
Yeah.
And 11 months later, music and being a little boy, music and sports did a head-on crash and changed my life forever. So Please Please Me is my favorite debut album, although some people might go, well, how can you say that? What about Meet the Beatles? I said, well, Meet the Beatles, but Please Please Me was the real
The real
numero
deal,
uno
huh?
for me.
Like it. Good
Thank
job.
you.
All right. So I, like Mr. Young, knew that the Tea Party Splendor Solace was not the debut. So that was squashed because to me that's a debut of like shocking proportions,
Mhm.
covering all kinds of music from the past, a vocalist from the past, and just we're just like, wow, what's that? So I'm like, well, there's another Canadian band that was like that I should say that's like a great debut. One of my favorites, because one of my favorite Canadian bands of all time. But up to here, no, not quite. It had it's not the best in the catalog, and it's not the album I play most. So that didn't work. And I went immediately with where Jeff was. There was if we were going to do an catalog review show of this band, it would be not even a thought as to what the number one album in their catalog would be.
And guess who?
It would be Naveed, Our Lady Peace. It is by far the most interesting debut in an era of music that had kind of been saturated with common alternative, and it happens. It happens in music a lot in time spans. Happened in the 60s, happened in the 70s, where everybody sounded like Cream, or any other rock band at that point. But that when somebody hits those drums that way and sings with that odd signature at some points and comes in and out of interesting vocal patterns, I was stunned. And that's the album I play the most and constant, but that's my number one. Naveed, Our Lady Peace. I always, and when I mention on these shows, I think it's one of the greatest debuts in modern history of music. Obviously the debuts that came before it in the 50s and 60s and 70s, some of those albums are hard to top. So I kind of moved to this end of the spectrum.
Mhm.
I can tell you right now, I already started doing the female and male, and you thought the bands was hard. Good luck. It's even harder when it's solo, because there are soloists that now you gotta. It'll be difficult. I asked everybody if they had two honorable mentions, they could do them if they wanted to, just to throw them out there. Deb, did you have any? Do you have two?
Well, yeah, I just noticed that one of my honorable mentions actually broke the rules, so I changed one of them. But anyway, my first honorable mention is Weezer. I love Weezer. I list this album, any of the songs, it just doesn't seem dated to me because they were so different and fun. And I keep saying fun because I miss Everett. Where is he? He loves
He's
the word
he's with
fun.
girls. He's got us
Yeah,
on the
he's on a
sailboat.
sailboat. Okay, whatever. I don't miss Everett anymore. But that album was from 1994. which is interesting because this is when I was really liking Nirvana and that kind of stuff too. So this was so different and fun. But I looked up a little bit about it and I saw who produced this album. And my next honorable mention is actually the producer of the Weezer album is from the Cars, Rick Ocasek. And I would say that that is one of my favorite debut albums. And it's kind of in the same way, shape, form of the other things that I'm talking about, that why they made an impression on me. They all were different. And to me, the Cars was a little bit different. The album cover was kind of cool. Wasn't that the one with the girl with the lipstick in the car? And
Yep.
And so those were my honorable mentions, Weezer, and then I'm not going to say what my one is that I changed because she'll be on my list of
There you go.
female.
Yes, I
There
was.
you
I
go.
didn't think I was gonna have the front. Sue, do you have any honorable mention?
Well, yeah, so my two, and I didn't do a lot. I thought about it and I didn't go further, so not much to say, but I was considering Boston, Boston's debut album. I love Boston.
Me too.
I just love their whole sound.
Everybody played that guitar lick. Everybody.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then Rage Against the Machine, I also was thinking of, like a complete 180, but
That's good.
yeah.
The ghost.
Squirrel, gecko.
Squirrel. Grateful Dude,
Gecko.
got any honorable mention?
Yeah, two of them.
Okay.
Elvis Presley.
Well,
Oh,
yeah,
that's solo.
Oh,
Band. Gotta be band.
Well, but he'll be on the
It's
next
okay.
show.
The next one. That's what I'm saying. Save it for
it's
Yeah.
a teaser.
teaser. Yeah. Band. What
Teaser.
was the second? Was that a band?
No,
No,
it
another
was a
solo.
band.
I can come around to you again.
No, it's a band.
Oh, okay.
It's probably one of my favorite bands of all time, and the Stones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Debuts. Great debut.
Dave album of the Stones was an awesome album.
It's no exile on Main
Very
Street,
true.
but it's
Yep.
Yeah.
still good.
You get them doing a Buddy Holly song to a Bo Diddley beat. Time fit. you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, they knew
Yeah.
where it all came from. They weren't.
I'm going to tell you how it's going to be.
Yep. We just saw the Stones
Mr.
for the
Young.
first time in my life.
Did you? Where?
I
Cleveland.
would say probably Rage Against the Machine, Affliction from a Kind of Line Crush,
Oh,
Headstones debut.
Mm.
I'm sure there's others. There's just so many. There's a lot of good ones.
Yeah, there's tons.
I know.
Absolutely.
Hard. I know.
Mr. Crichton, I'll give you 2 honorable mentions, even though you want to give us 55.
I do. Okay. So
He rolls out that big thing.
on my list here, I won't mention the Doors or the Cars or Pearl Jam or the Stones, which have already been mentioned. Okay,
By not mentioning them, you have mentioned them.
that's right.
He's smarter than the average
However,
bear.
It would be a disservice not to name these. Are
Okay.
You Experienced by Jimi Hendrix?
Jimi Hendrix.
Experience.
Well,
Yeah,
that was
I
on my
had to-
list. Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. REM, Murmur.
Murmur.
thought about them.
One of the great debut albums of all time, Mr. Tambourine Man by the Byrds.
Yeah.
Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers debut record.
Self-titled, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cream's debut album called Fresh Cream.
Yes.
Traffic's debut album, Mr.
Mm.
Fantasy.
Traffic. Oh my God.
The Jeff Beck Group debut album, Truth, that had Rod Stewart singing
Rod
on it.
Stewart. Yeah.
Rod
somebody
Wood,
else is on there
and Ron
too.
Wood played bass on
Yeah,
that record.
Ron Wood. Yeah.
He
the great
did. That's
Nicky Hopkins.
awesome.
Yeah. And one more.
Okay.
The Mothers of Invention, Freak Out.
Yeah.
Oh,
So is that
yes.
is that
yes.
Mothers of Invention? Yeah, Freak Out, right? Okay, no,
Yeah.
I'm never mind. I'm thinking about Apostrophe. Never mind.
Yeah.
So
That's
Freak
got
Out
some-
was the first album.
Freak Out. Yeah.
My Frank Zappa experience is not good. I am trying to
I
change
know
that,
mine isn't
but I
either.
need like 77 days to even play like half his collection.
I know.
Well,
It's
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah,
We
his
need to do a
catalog is-
show
Doing
on
a
Frank.
catalog review.
Catalog review show of Frank Zappa, followed by the catalog review show of Willie Nelson. 75
No,
albums.
my head. No, stop. I gotta
Number
go.
75, 74, and 73. 17 parts. All right, I'll give two honorable mentions,
Okay.
that are a little bit obtuse, but they're mine, I guess, right?
Are they
So-
also the same as Susan's?
So, go ahead, Jeff, another one, no, okay. The band is Uncle, it's UNKLE, it's called Science Fiction, but science is spelled very wrong.
Oh my God.
It's electronica, Portisheadish, but with Stone Roses kind of vocaling going on. Very, very cool. And to not mention this album, in all of this that's going on, I love how this was like a bridge of, everybody kind of thought that music could only be played by certain people certain ways, and I think Living Color Vivid proved that that was not the case. That it could be just about anything and anywhere, and a man of his nature could pick up an axe and drive it home like Jimmy Page, and the vocalist could wail like at no one's business. Although his latest that whatever that album is we reviewed this year, sometimes you got to tone your vocal down. But
Yeah.
Vivid was an amazing record, and another Rolling Stones touch, because that's Mick Jagger doing some work on that album too. So obviously we had Ron Wood in the mention. We got the Rolling Stones.
Yeah.
You know, you want to have a great debut, touch one of those people in the debut list we just talked about, and you'll probably have a great debut if you're a musician. Anyway, I want to thank the panelists for taking on this ridiculous exercise, and we'll do this again in 2 weeks with the females. You know, it's what we do here. It's all about bands, albums, artists, anything we can get our hands on. We're at beyondyourradio.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and this lovely thing called YouTube, of course. Go Beyond Your Radio with us, a real music appreciation channel. And until next time, happy listening.